As artificial intelligence continues to play an increasing role across the federal government, a critical issue facing IT leaders is how best to ensure the security, privacy, and control of the data and the infrastructure essential for managing AI workloads. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to share their perspective on that is Mark Fournier, Chief Information Officer at the U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let me start by asking what types of AI use cases are getting the most significant investment support at your organization, and how do you see those investments bringing greater innovation to your organization's mission?
Absolutely. The mission is really our primary focus, and that's serving the broad membership base that we have here at the United States Senate Federal Credit Union. I can't say that there's one particular area of investment. The field of AI and more particularly machine learning, it's pretty vast. And we've curated a laundry list, you could say, of potential use cases. Some of the more exciting ones that I think people are most familiar with are in the vein of large language models. And so we've got a few things cooking right now that we think could be pretty exciting very near term for our internal users, and hopefully a good long-term use case to serve our members directly.
And then when it comes to controlling the security and costs, can you talk a little about how you view the pros and cons of managing your organization's data in private on-prem service stacks versus government authorized commercial service stacks?
Security is certainly a top priority for us here, not only being a financial institution and all the regulatory components that come with that, but also our keen awareness of who our membership is. The name implies the Senate and all of the staff that support the work that they do, but certainly Supreme Court, Government Accountability Office, the wonderful folks at the Capitol Police. So we take the stewardship of their money and their data very seriously. By doing it in-house, we believe that that gives us a much more granular control and freedom to not only safeguard that data, but then to iterate and adjust as needed at the drop of a hat, really.
So one of the things that often gets overlooked with AI is the computing resources required to handle these vast data loads. And I'm curious, when you think about managing the computing resources that your organization has, how would you characterize your ability to sort of centrally manage CPUs versus GPUs to really optimize AI intensive workloads versus non-AI intensive workloads?
That is certainly a challenge that we identified very early on. We can't claim to have the resources of the large banks in terms of staff or large government agencies in terms of that breadth of expertise. So anything that we embark on, it's got to be something that we can scale with our internal team and our internal resources without acquiring a whole lot of extra new talent, but also be able to build up the existing talent that we have. So that's where our partnership with Broadcom really plays a pivotal role in our execution. Being able to leverage the technologies through that vSphere suite of products, through VMware Cloud Foundation and the Private AI initiative, it allows us to do that, leveraging things that the team's already familiar with, and then giving us that ability to focus on the actual application, the actual innovation, rather than, okay, how do we keep this stuff running and how do we keep ourselves from running into roadblocks?
That makes sense. And in light of that, I'm curious, so how does that kind of reshaping your infrastructure investment strategy going forward?
It's still a bit early days for us to say exactly what a long-term strategy does look like. We're of the mind right now that we want to stay very near-term focused and a bit nimble along with that. We're certainly doubling down on this thought that we need to upskill our internal pool of talent and give us that homegrown enablement. There's no one that knows what we're doing better than the people that have been here for 5, 7, 10 plus years. And if we can upskill those through dedicated investment, those resources through dedicated investment, we think that's going to pay the best dividend going forward. And then that long-term strategy of where we focus applying these technologies, whether it's through LLMs or particular machine learning modeling, we know we'll have that solid foundation to execute the best kind of work possible.
I appreciate that. And then lastly, Mark, as you think more broadly, what are the biggest issues or gaps that your organization is trying to really address now to take fuller advantage of AI's potential at large?
So this, I think, is one of my favorite questions that you've asked so far. So I think there's a mix. So on the one hand, there's the technology, which is rapidly evolving. I think it's fair to say that a few years ago, the thought of someone opening up, a particular chat engine online and pretty much getting the answer to anything they could want would have been a dream. We couldn't have imagined it. To now today, everyone's fighting and clawing as fast as they can to figure out some sort of adoption strategy and what that can mean to the organization. But more importantly, I think there's the people impact to that, and that's something that we're definitely focused on. To unleash this technology, yes, it's rapidly evolving. We want to try and keep up with it, but anytime you're bringing in something new, all these different people perspectives are going to play a huge role. Whether that's the type of upskilling that we talked about a moment ago, or even I think a measure of fear. There's certainly plenty out on the web and in the media about how AI will take our jobs, they'll take over the world, and we want to hear those concerns, but help guide people into seeing a future where it's not about that you have to have a concern on how this will impact job, but how it will empower you, how it could enable you, how you could live a better workplace life and do so by partnering with these technologies.
Absolutely. Well, Mark Fournier, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us here and share your perspectives on how the U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union is looking at AI and the future of infrastructure to better support its missions and all those that you serve. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.